that would make him. Children. He saw it as a PR problem that had to be managed. Well, that's the old way of doing things, and that's precisely what the MAHA movement is trying to bring to an end. And that's what connects food and vaccines. It's the same kind of fight, the same principle, blind faith. Parents and their rights and their children over corporations. Real science over marketing slogans went into their children's bodies without ever that era ends. And today, we're celebrating that. And everybody should celebrate that. On today's show, you're going to hear from Dr. Eric Berg, known as the Knowledge Doctor, human biologist Gary Brecka, health coach Sally Fallon, founding president of the Weston A. Price Foundation, Jeffrey Tucker, founder and president of the Brownstone Institute, molecular toxicologist and activist Dr. Alexandra Munoz, Marla Maples, co-founder of the Global Wellness Forum and the Marla Maples Foundation, and Austin Rogers, candidate for Congress in Florida. So first up, we have a leader and a legend in traditional food, and that's Sally Fallon. And she's an author, an educator, and the founding president of the Weston A. Price Foundation, and also the founder of Campaign for Raw Milk. And she's the owner of a farm which produces raw cheese and raw milk from pastured cows, pastured meats, and grass-fed poultry and eggs. Her best-selling book, Nourishing Traditions, blends scientific research, culinary expertise, and advocacy to promote diets rich in whole, nutrient-dense food, with a strong emphasis on animal fats, raw milk, and traditional food preparation methods. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you, Tony. It's great to be here. Yes, so who was Weston Price? He was a dentist. Is my sound on?
Perfect.
Is the sound on? Okay.
Yes, you can go.
So Weston Price was a dentist who, in the 30s and 40s, he traveled to remote parts of the globe to study people who were healthy. And he found 14 groups who had excellent health, starting with no cavities, wide faces, straight, no chronic or infectious disease, no TB, ease of reproduction, and ease of childbirth. So when he looked at the diets of these people, they were all different. Of course, the diets of the South Seas were not the same as the diets of Alaska, but he found this commonality. They were all very nutrient dense. They contained 4 times more minerals than the diet of our day, and they contained 10 times more fat-soluble vitamins than the diet of our day. These are vitamins A, D, and K, and they're found in all the foods that we're being told not to eat, starting with butter from pastured cows, egg yolks from pastured animals, liver, which we don't eat anymore when we should be eating, liver and other organ meats, shellfish, and certain types of seafood, and that good old-fashioned favorite, cod liver oil. So our job at the Weston A. Price Foundation is to teach people, especially for growing children. Our job is to debunk the misinformation that is out there about these foods, to debunk the misinformation about raw milk, which is a very safe, wholesome food, very important for growing children. And we do this in many ways. We have local chapters all over the world. We have 400 local chapters who help you find the healthy foods in your neighborhood. Many of them have meetings and potlucks. We have lots of information trifolds that are short to read. We have scholarly articles in our journal that are a little bit longer to read. We have a very popular podcast. And we pride ourselves not only on teaching you about these foods, but helping you to find them. Finally, we have a conference every year, and this year our conference is in Washington, D.C. It will be at the Omni Showroom, October 16th through 18th. We're inviting everyone to come. And the information about the conference is at wisetraditions.org. That's wisetraditions.org. A couple more facts about these traditional diets. There were no vegetarian diets. And Dr. Price strongly warned against vegetarianism, and he noted animal foods. Second thing, of course, is that there were no processed foods in these diets. However, we like to say that you can have everything you want in this diet. You can have, starting with plenty of butter, meat, vegetables. You can have carbs. Our diet is not a low-carb diet. Salt, very important for your health. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, sauces and gravies made with real bone broth. And you can have sweetenings made with natural sweeteners, healthy soft drinks like kombucha. It's all there for you, and it's a delicious, healthy diet. It's just a question of choosing the right foods and the right ingredients. So we hope to see you there at Wise Traditions 2026, coming up in October in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Sally. Sally, it's been so hard to get good information, to get honest information. I just want to say that I'm so grateful for the books that you've written and the message that you've gotten out to so many people just this year, just with Bobby Kennedy getting that done. For so many years, people thought that they were better off eating ultra-processed foods than eating meat, eggs, all those kinds of things. So it's just shocking.
You can have bacon on our diet.
Say one last thing. Thank you so much, Sally. Has done. He's known as the Knowledge Doc, and he's got 45 million followers. But one of the things that he's done that's really simple is to be healthier, because we've been under attack. That our food, our drugs, our vaccines, everything has been engineered to addict us or to harm us in some way, how the body works, and simple practical strategies for becoming more healthy in a world where it's hard to get that information. So he's just been an incredible thinker and writer and researcher, and just a maha, and comes on the show all the time, has just doing a great job in helping Americans become healthier. And he's written a groundbreaking new book that I think is going to be a big change the way a lot of people live. And that book is called Change Your Environment. So welcome, Dr. Berg.
Thanks so much, Tony. And I see that you have it in the back of your shelf. So well done. And Sally, Fallon spoke at my office 1991. Rogue Food Conference coming up this weekend. If any of you haven't heard about it, you need. I want to talk a little bit about some of the confusion. There's all these debates. Is it the salt? Is it the fat? Is it the chemicals? Is it the seed oils? Is it this? Is it that? One of the barriers to figuring out this problem is time lag, because it usually takes 10 to 15 to 20 years adults and develop a chronic problem. It doesn't always show up right away. For me, I remember eating pure junk food, and I can get away with it all the way until I was 28 years old. Other people, it takes longer, but there's this whole time lag that is going on that makes it hard to connect the dots for a lot of conditions, because these chronic things keep happening. And so, you go to the doctor every 6 months, whatever, and you get your blood pressure checked and your blood sugar and your cholesterol. Oh, everything's fine until one day, oh, guess what? You have diabetes. Nowhere, when it's been brewing in the oven for many, many decades or years. If they were to do a test a very long time ago, because this is one test that unfortunately doctors don't really test very much, fasting insulin. I recommend you have it below 5. You want it is doing all the heavy lifting. It's removing all the sugar from the bloodstream. And especially if you're living on chronic, glucose also explains why some people can tolerate a lot of junk food. Other people cannot. It really has to do with how much dysfunctional insulin you have, and that whole metabolic dysfunction. And we actually kind of, instead of weight problem, so he's fine or she's fine, but that has really nothing to do with what's going on the inside. So this chronic stimulation of insulin becomes dysfunctional over a period of time, develop insulin resistance, and now we have a situation where you can no longer tolerate carbohydrates. So even though you're eating them, the fuel does not go to the cell anymore because the door is broken. And so now the neurons starve, that you start having problems with the eyes and the nerves and the heart and the kidneys because of this, especially if you continue to eat carbs. Of course, there's a backup door that allows you to feed the tissues with ketones, but a lot of people don't know about that. But this is why if someone has dysfunctional insulin, the low carb seems to work very well for them. Other people, it takes longer for that whole system to develop. So there's a study out of London where they tracked thousands of people for over a decade. Every single person who eventually developed diabetes had their insulin way, way, way too high, and it was very difficult. They had insulin resistance 13 years before they even were diagnosed, because they tracked them for many, many years. So when the child is consuming a stack of pancakes with soda and junk food, you really want to understand the child is borrowing from the tissues, and it's just a matter of time. It's like what's going on behind the scenes is where is this child in relationship to develop this chronic problem? You really want to check the insulin, fasting insulin. So if we also take this little corn right here, this is corn. So corn, if you were to soak this and cook this, it's about, on the glycemic index, it's like 51. But if we take the same corn and grind it up and process it industrially, this could have a glycemic index of over 100, like 120 to see even up to 150. Same thing, but different processing. So what they did is they break down the molecules to smaller spaces. So then the little chains on the glucose get broken very easily, and they can spike your blood sugar. Yet it's not even listed. This stuff, an average person consumes over 200 pounds of this industrial starch every single year. Processed like wheat, tapioca, maltodextrin. It's not even listed as sugar, but it really is sugar. It actually creates a massive spike. And so it's hidden because it's listed as a carbohydrate. And so do carbs cause problems? Well, it depends on how processed the carbohydrate is. Is it in the whole form? Did you take things out of it? Also, what type of carb it is. You have starchy vegetables. You have non-starchy vegetables. On the glycemic index, those are like 1 or 2. And they have very little starch, very little sugar, if any, fiber, phytonutrients. And when you ferment them, you add all sorts of additional things to them as well. So anyway, I think as we go through a lot more education for children and adults, it's very important to understand the fasting insulin and get that tested. And I just want to plug one last thing. The Rogue Food Conference this weekend, we'll have a link down below. Check it out, and hope you can show up.
Thanks, Eric. You know, it's really is so fascinating that you were saying that 34 chronic disease signs that you can learn from testing your fasting insulin. You know, those are the kinds of things that you know, you go to doctors, go to pediatricians for your whole, you know, for 18 years with your children, they would never tell you something like that. For years, they just haven't given you anything, any information that you can use to common sense ways to lead a healthier life and to have healthier children. This is so critical to what the MAHA movement stands for. And, you know, we all know that 80 to 90% of chronic disease is not only preventable, but that it's kind of created on purpose by people who are trying to give you foods, trying to addict you to food or to drugs that are going to create this chronic disease. So, you know, even something like the industrial sugars that we were told for many years that we should avoid sugar. And we were then given these industrial fake sugars as an antidote to it that were actually worse for us. So I'm just so grateful for the work you do, for helping MAHA, for writing this incredible book, and for teaching millions of people that they can lead. Next up, we have Russell Brand, and let me just start off by saying, Russell has been wrongly accused. He's been vilified, deplatformed, persecuted, demonetized, demonized, censored, prosecuted. But he's always stood by his convictions. And we at the MAHA movement, me personally, but all of us, we stand with Russell Brand. And he's the author of an incredible new book called, and, this book has been censored, he's been censored, but it's important to read the things of the MAHA censored people, of the people that the government, that these big corporations don't want you to pay attention to. So welcome, Russell Brand. Great to have you back.
Tony Lyons, I consider you now to be the Gertrude Stein of the alternative movement. Look at this sort of Avengers army that you're assembling. Look at this publishing roster that you're creating. Look at this information that you're propagating. I've just been with Dr. Robert Malone and his wife Judith, and I go, there's someone who's benefiting from your ingenuity, entrepreneurialism, and bravery in this sort of age of censorship and digital book burning and information being controlled and shut down, I suppose we do need to have our own means of production. Forgive that. We need to be able to get information out there to people in an extraordinary moment, Tony. I think you're doing real pivotal work, not just with this weekly Maha meeting, but with what you're doing more broadly, mate. I'm very, very grateful to you and the way that you live by those convictions. Although these days I've got to tell you that when I hear the word conviction, I do get a little flutter of anxiety. It's not a word I enjoy hearing when I'm standing trial in a couple of months. But it's I'm so appreciative of the way that you. Now, I guess what I wanted to talk about, knowing that I'm on this call, is how even the sort of awkward and embarrassing reckoning of Anthony Fauci, listening to his skittish and effete diary entries that reveal a narcissist of the degree that many people will have anticipated, the presumed crush of Julia Roberts, his excitement. And what's been weird for me, because I've been through such a consciousness and nutrition and delight in it, but it has had a lot. Do you mind popping out here, you guys, just for a second while I do this call? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. What I've been seeing is like all over the feeds of the various social media sites. God, perhaps we should all just withdraw. Perhaps we should just withdraw from war, withdraw from Afghanistan, withdraw from X, withdraw from this world, populate new territories, verdant and abundant with a permaculture, both literal and spiritual. Let us sow new seeds in new fields. Let us decouple from the Monsantos and the Bill Gates and the constant insidious fizz and fog of their intoxication. But what I've noticed is the propaganda material that was contemporaneously being created at the time that we now know Anthony Fauci was jotting down in his diary, delirious and excited. I remember, and we are all aware of what Colbert was doing and saying, ditties and dances while dressed as vaccines. My countryman, James Corden, did that outrageous sort of almost La La Land musical number of dancing in the street, sort of living ongoing hagiographies of Anthony Fauci, who we were invited to look at uncritically. We were invited to jump into his own wildly narcissistic I am the science pool and splosh about in what transpired to be not just ignorance, but malfeasance. Dr. Robert Malone on my show that I just did said, they had the concerns that were being raised by Jay Bhattacharya. They had the concerns about miscarriage, first trimester miscarriage, and they went ahead. And what I think sickens me most of all, actually, is that the whole of that movement is predicated on this kind of fluffy, woolly humanitarianism around ideas like identity politics, and the rights of women. When it comes to legislating and policy making, they will trimester. Where in that? Where is the feminism in that? It's a delight to be here, Tony. Thank you very much for including me in this movement. It brings me a lot of joy and pride, and I hope I get to see you also. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Russell. Convictions, and that's true. I don't think there's any chance that you get any meaning. The people who think they have the right to judge you, they don't have the right to judge you. They're not scholars. They're not historians. They're not readers. The industrial complex that's taken over the UK to a great extent took over the United States and the whole world, and we're just kind of getting it back now. So, they don't have the right to judge you in any way on any level. It's not a question of waiting for what happens. It's already happened. We know who these people are, and we know who you are. And so you've already won that battle. So, I just want to say that I'm grateful for you, and I believe in you. And it doesn't really matter what anybody else says or what they determine in some fake court.
Thank you. Thanks, man. That's lovely, Tony. God bless you, mate. Take it easy.
You too. Next.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're broadcasting, simulcasting from the south of France with a mobile setup. And so the crazy thing is, we're in Occitanie, Tarn, all right? And so this phone is the data access to this simulcast. So this is a fantastic experiment trying to figure out what was available. I have to review the we're talking about a mobile. All right, I'm used to multiple screens, so this is just what I have to deal with. This chaos, mobile, streaming, Maha. And so, that's kind of what we did here. And I have to review what we just did. And, we're gonna check things out. And as insane as I am, I want a little outro music. Thank you for watching, and this is Liam, the unofficial king of LinkedIn Live, streaming, simulcasting, internet access from a portal, from a phone. All right. Take care. We'll see you next time.